Okay guys, so I've got some bad news. So, my webcam has decided to go full green mode. So I cannot grace you with my face this time. Instead, you'll see what I have decided to do in a few minutes. But, I decided to start a little earlier today because I realized that it might be a little long for the second chapter as it was for the first one, because, oh my god, that was a trip. Like, I'm not even kidding. By the way, can you hear me okay? I noticed in the last stream the game was a little louder than me. Am I too loud in the game? Is the game too loud? Let me know. Your feedback is very much appreciated. Because if not, then I'm starting the game. So... Actually, no, what I meant to say is if it is, then I am starting the game. Like, if there's no problems, then I'll start it. Oh, I forgot my... Hold on. I knew I was forgetting something. Forgot my handy dandy tool. Whoops, there we go. I almost spelled it wrong. Okay. Anyway. If there are no issues, then, yeah, as you can see, wait, what happened? Hold on. That's not supposed to be there. Okay. As you can see, I have repurposed my quote-unquote art skills to put up a renditions draw, a historically accurate drawing. Oh god, alright, well, it's no secret. It's a Hero Forge picture. I used the character that I made on Hero Forge to make up for my lack of webcam, because let me just show you what I mean. Hi. So, obviously, I can't use that, because I don't want to be green all day. And I'm pretty sure you don't want to stare at a green guy all day, so... As much as it pains me to do it, uh-oh, who was that? Oh! Thank you for following! Welcome to the team, my friend. Normally it's supposed to give a alert. I don't know why it didn't. Interesting. I may have to look into that. Because it should be showing the displays in the top right. But welcome to Blackwell Productions. I hope you enjoy the show. Because we're going to have a lot of fun. Mr. Frag... Oh no. Fragilities? I hope I said that right. If I did not, I am sorry in advance. But for now, let us begin on our new journey. Continue. Yes. Here we go. going through hell and back. The Adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled Band.
In a corner of that small, dark room, Sholmes and I waited with bated breath. In time, there came from the ventilator a hiss and a soft, almost growl-like sound. Suddenly, Sholmes sprang into action, lashing furiously with his cane at a point in the darkness. You
oh, is this the snake? Is this the snake?
Voice reverberating through the air. I raised my dark lantern's shutter, and the room slowly came into view. Sholmes was staring intently at one particular corner.
That's not at all what Sherlock Holmes looks like.
The victim's most perplexing final words. The speckled band. I believe this is the terrible coil to which she referred, Wilson. In front of us was an enormous...
Oh, it's based off the actual story.
Bared.
Interesting.
She threatened to strike. It truly was the most terrible speckled band I had ever seen.
It was a snake. In the vents. That's really interesting. I didn't expect them to take like an actual story from Sherlock Holmes. I never expected that. Not gonna lie. Oh, there he is.
So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. Pray, do excuse me. The cabin door was bolted from the inside when the man was killed. No marks to suggest the bolt was tampered with in any way. So, this would appear to be a locked room mystery. In his final moments, the victim scrawled a message on the floor. Almost certainly with the ink from this upset bottle. A Russian word. So the victim was a Russian man then. And the letters are well formed, suggesting he was compos mentis at the time.
Oh god, I don't think I can replicate this voice.
Script. And evidently not penned by the same hand as this message. In fact, I deduce it was written by someone of a different nationality.
Yeah?
This paper seal was placed just prior to the incident, by the victim himself, I would venture. Well, what have we here?
Who are you, and what do you think you're doing here?
No one must touch before maritime police come. We must wait! Shh. That won't be necessary.
I am the police.
In less than 5 seconds from now, I will reveal the killer to you.
What? Don't be absurd. This is murder. And in cabin locked from inside.
Ah yes, the locked room. But that mystery is paper thin.
You don't mean the culprit is in there?
Who are you? And where have you come from? I'm a great British consultant detective, the only one in the world. Sherlock Holmes. I presume you must have heard of me.
It's a body, isn't it? This poor man. I don't think I can replicate that voice. Is there a way to, like, turn on... There has to be voice acting. Ugh, my head is throbbing. What's going on? Something's not right here. There's trouble in the air. Wait, I can't move! Wait, I can't move! Ah, what the... Again?! What do you mean I'm arrested again?! Why am I in handcuffs?! So, you wake up now, Oh, so you wake up now, We had to drag you from out of the wardrobe. I do not believe how you could not wake up. You are a true cold-blooded man. You found me then. You found me then. Duh. We found you. And now you'll pay, criminal. How long are you hiding in that tiny wardrobe, Oh, sorry. Sorry. Now you have been found. It is time to admit your crimes. Unless you want to find out how cold the ocean is, No, I'll tell you everything. There's only one thing I'd like to know from you. Isn't that... Oh, one thing I'd like to know from you. Sorry. Why did you do it? Why did you take his life? Miss Susato! Wait, what did you just say? Wait, what did you just say? Take his life? Where is he? Where's Kazu... He's dead. I knew it. I freaking knew it! I called it! Well, it's not easy to say, unfortunately. Ha! You pretend you don't know! You do not know! You are a wolf in sheep's pelt! You are the killer! Do not try to make excuses! What? What do you mean? Kazuma-sama's body was discovered not long ago. Here, in this very cabin, that was bolted shut from the inside. His body? Please, do not try to tell us you were doing this terrible thing in your sleep. Kazuma's dead? But he can't be. And these handcuffs. Surely you don't think I have to know. Why did you take Kazuma-sama's life? Answer me, please. No. No! Kazuma. It was just 2 short weeks ago. Are you sure about this? Won't we get into trouble? Don't you find it fun being a stowaway? Besides, how else could you come to England with me to study? It was really something else when they brought your luggage in here earlier, though. The way the Russian crewman just tossed your traveling case onto the floor. I thought I was going to die. Yes, I still can't quite believe that. I really didn't think you'd be able to fit inside my trunk. You must be even less of a man than you look. Hey, honestly, I thought I'd broken every bone in my body. Well, it's about 50 days until we dock into Great Britain. But if you confine yourself to my cabin here, I don't expect anyone will discover you. Oh, I hope not. I get the feeling those Russians wouldn't be very forgiving of a stowaway. They're a sturdy bunch, that's for sure. What I want to know is, why do we need to keep it a secret from the young lady? From our faithful judicial assistant Mikotoba, you mean? From your close friend, more to the point. Surely we could confide in her, couldn't we? I don't believe she'd give me away. No, but if she knew what we'd done, that would make her look guilty. That would make her guilty by association. It's best that only you and I know about this. I suppose so. Anyway, it's about the time that the steward is supposed to come and clean the cabin. I know it's cramped, but you'd better get in there, I think. It won't be for long. And anyway, compared to hiding inside my traveling case, it'll be a breeze. Yes, but what if the steward decides to open the wardrobe for some reason? Then I'll be in for it. Stop worrying. I'll tell you what. Why don't you write "keep out" or something on this piece of paper? What? And I can stick it over the wardrobe's doors, since once you're inside. I don't know. We've only been at sea for about 15 days. How can this have happened? We were supposed to be going on this adventure to England together. We leave you at the next port. Stay quiet until then. Do not make trouble for yourself. Murderer? No! I'm not a murderer! Ah, you said before. You said you admit everything about your crimes. No! That's not right! I mean, yes, I did stow away on the ship, but... murdering my best friend? No one else could have done it. Admit the truth. Susato-san. Please, tell me what happened. I need to know. Very well. But there is something I would like to ask of you too. Oh, those eyes. She looks like she's ready to destroy me. This nightmare is getting worse by the minute. I suppose all I can do is try to find out what really happened. Kazuma's death. He really has been killed, hasn't he? This isn't just a bad dream. And these handcuffs. They think I did it. They think I'm Kazuma's killer. When they found him, the cabin was locked from the inside. What do you mean? There's no access to the cabin via a porthole window, and the bolt on the door can't be operated from the outside. Looks like the bolt's been broken. Surprised Herlock didn't see that. In other words, after the crime, the culprit couldn't have escaped these four walls. What? Or to put it another way, the culprit can only have been someone inside this cabin. Or do you have some other explanation? This is impossible. How did he die then? What happened exactly? Are you still going to deny the charge, even despite the circumstances? Please, Susato-san, you have to tell me! The cause of death is still undetermined. They don't know how he died? The ship's doctor is examining the body, but of course he has no post-mortem analysis experience. I don't suppose we shall learn more until an expert has been consulted at our next port of call. So presumably that means there were no obvious external signs of injury then. That's true, yes. About the incident. Tell me about the incident. Can't anyone tell me what actually happened in here in this cabin? I don't understand it. Why would anyone want to kill Kazuma? Presumably that's something you know the answer to better than anyone. Please. Whatever you say, you were here in the cabin after all. Well, yes, I was, but... He would always wake before dawn and do his training first thing in the morning. I was waiting outside his cabin, as I have every day so far on his voyage. But this morning, he did not come. I could sense that he wouldn't. Does that mean he was already dead when Susato-san arrived at his cabin door, I wonder? I knocked, but there was no reply. Then I started to become worried, so I went to find a member of the crew. Oh, they broke it down. The crewmen forced the cabin door open when we managed to get inside. There was Kazuma-sama, collapsed on the floor. Wait a minute. Russian. It's one of the crew members. You can't screw me on this one. It's one of the crew members. Wow, even back then they used tape to outline the body. That's amazing. And the white tape there now shows exactly where he was found, I suppose. I had no idea anything had happened. I must have been asleep in the wardrobe somehow. I wish it wasn't the case, but that's just very hard to believe. It's so very hard to believe for me too, trust me. Now I've told you everything that I know, so it's my turn to ask you a question. Yes, alright. Oh, my head feels so heavy. It's still throbbing like anything. Why are you even on board this ship, Naruhodo-san? You said something before about being a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, yes, I'm afraid that's true. It's 2 weeks since we left Japan now, and I've been shut up inside in this cabin the entire time. I had no idea. But how could you have occupied Kazuma-sama's cabin for so long without him noticing? No, 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 no. That would have been impossible, obviously. Yes, of course. Kazuma invited me. He wanted us to go to England together. He actually asked you. But why? I'm afraid I don't really know the reason myself. I don't understand. Kazuma, why do you want this? What's the real reason? Why go to such extreme lengths to smuggle me to England with you? Tell me. It's an idea that's been in my mind ever since the end of that incredible trial. I think I told you then, didn't I? That you ought to become a lawyer yourself? Well, yes, you did say that, but I didn't think you were serious. You have a talent for it. I can assure you of that. But I've never really thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, that's something you can decide for yourself. London is at the spearhead of cultural development. The center of the world in many ways. There can't be any harm in seeing such an important place with your own eyes, can there? Well, no, definitely not. But on a personal level, if you were to become a lawyer, then what? Nothing. Forget it. No, I won't forget it, actually. What do you mean? I see. Kazuma-sama he was always saying the same thing, that he wanted to change the Japanese legal system. Perhaps he thought that he could do that with you. Yes, maybe. But something's still bothering me a little. The look in his eyes then, it was darker than I've ever seen it before. Susato-san, I'm sorry that we kept it a secret from you. My stowing away on the ship, I mean. If I know Kazuma-sama, I expect he was trying to protect me, to avoid me becoming guilty by association. That's exactly right, yes. Word perfect, in fact. Last night. If you're not the culprit, then tell me, what happened last night here in this cabin? Well, the thing is, I don't really remember. Kazuma brought me something to eat, just like he always did. And then I got myself into that wardrobe over there, just like I always did. After that, I fell asleep. Well, yes. So deeply that you didn't even stir when Kazuma-sama was killed? Well, yes. I know it sounds unbelievable, really I do, but it's the truth. If only I'd woken up, then perhaps I wouldn't be in this predicament. For some reason, my head's still throbbing like anything. Really? You were drugged. You've been drugged. Is something wrong? Oh, no, it's... Please, forget it. Susato-san, you have to believe me, I didn't do it. I really don't want to doubt you. But the trouble is, there is no one else who could possibly have done this, except for maybe a snake, as per the intro did state. Ugh. I think he may have been poisoned by a snake. Kazuma, I don't understand. Why? Why did this have to happen? I can't take this! Don't try to go anywhere. You're the perpetrator of this crime. You can't leave. I can't allow that to happen. I'm sorry. Kazuma was killed right under my nose here, and I didn't do anything to stop it. And now I'm supposed to just sit around, my hands tied while whoever did this walks free? No, I can't allow that to happen. Well, what do you propose to do then? I'm going to investigate. I'm going to find out exactly what happened here. I'm going to work out who took Kazuma's life, and how and why they did it. So I'm sorry, but you're going to have to excuse me. Hiya! Ow, lady! What the? That was a Susato takedown. That was how a woman should be treating her man. Oh my god. A Susato what? What martial art form is that? I'm going to need you to prove it. Sorry? Prove it? Yes, your innocence. I need evidence. But how am I supposed to? Have you forgotten already what you achieved just a few weeks ago? You successfully defended yourself in a court of law. Ah, I see. She's expecting me to present some conclusive evidence. What do I even have? I have to get Susato-san to believe me. I'll show her some evidence right now that proves that I'm not guilty of this awful crime. Here, the only thing I can think of. Tell me, when I was discovered in the wardrobe before, was this piece of paper stuck over the doors? Oh, yes it was. I remember clearly. I thought so. Kazuma always put it in place whenever I went to sleep in there, just in case the cabin steward and another crew member decided to look inside. So naturally, he did the same last night as well. Ah! Yes, of course! The gentleman who discovered you peeled that sign from the wardrobe doors before he opened them. But if I were truly the culprit, I couldn't have climbed back inside the wardrobe and stuck this on the outside of the doors on my own. Yes, that's quite true. In other words, it's impossible that I killed Kazuma. Now please pick me up. I'm tired of looking at you upside down. Susato? Please pick me up. My head is going, but the blood's rushing into my head. Well, even if you are sprawled hopelessly on the floor, I can see why Kazuma-sama thought so highly of you. Thank you, Susato-san. Now please pick me up. Now, do you think perhaps you could help me up? Well, in light of that evidence, I don't see any reason why I should stop you from investigating in here at least. Thank you. So you finally believe me? I'm sorry, no. What? I'm not sure yet. I can't rule out the possibility that you used some sort of conjuring trick to put the sign back into position. What kind of magic do you think I have, woman? I'm a lawyer. I'm not the great shady Enigmar. I can't just make the sign appear out of nowhere. What does she think I am, a magician? For now, I suggest you investigate as thoroughly as possible in here. I'll do the same. Alright, let's get to work, Susato-san. Please don't misunderstand me. I still have my doubts. Oh. I shall be watching you to make sure you do nothing that might disturb the crime scene. I wouldn't want you using your conjuring tricks to destroy evidence, for example. Oh, what do you think? Who do you think I am? Like Miss Brett from the last trial? Yeah, I'll definitely take a bottle and drop it on the floor purposefully in front of the courtroom. Right. Right. Absolutely. Well, anyway, I should make a start on investigating in here. Examine everything I can. Kazuma, I swear, I will avenge your death. Oh, let's examine. Oh, hi. How long have you been standing there? Wow, you just watched me get my ass handed to me, huh? That's Kazuma-sama's precious sword. He never went anywhere without it. Yes, he was always saying that a Japanese man's katana is his soul. I believe he had to work very hard to convince the government to allow him to bring it on this trip. I suppose that shows just how important it was to him. And now he's gone. But I'm not ready to let his spirit go just yet. Oh dear, that won't do. Oh, what's the matter, Suzuto-san? Whenever I'm examining things, I always find myself so focused I forget to look around properly. Ah, yes, that's not good. I don't suppose you're as foolish as me in that regard, are you, Naruhodo-san? I'm sure you're careful to look all around using BM, aren't you? Now, let's investigate all corners of this cabin. Yes, let's do that. Since my field of vision has been rather small until now. Okay, so... Oh! Okay, good. It check marks what I've already checked. That's good. Anyways, let's look down here. That's my dinner from last night. A roast chicken. It was really tasty. Yes, it was very delicious, wasn't it? But, did you eat it on the floor here? Are you a dog? I'm not a dog, so I'm not... I could have written this! I'm not a dog, Suzuto-san. I ate at the table, of course. Which begs the question of when and how the plate ended up on the floor. A struggle. But Kazuma-sama didn't like chicken at all, did he? No, that's right. So he didn't touch it. Which meant all the more for me. Oh no, does that mean... Poor Kazuma-sama spent his last night on this earth with an empty belly? It's just too horrible. Ugh, now I suddenly have a guilty conscience and an achy stomach. Seigi. I should not have tried to pronounce that. Now everyone from Japan is gonna be like, you idiot, that's not how it's pronounced! The Japanese word for justice. The brushstrokes are straight and true, just like Kazuma. Yes, his calligraphy always was a reflection of his heart. Can you really look at those characters without feeling shame, knowing who drew them so thoughtfully? Of course I can! I mean, I'm innocent, so why shouldn't I be able to? Even though you stowed away on the ship? Okay, well you got me there. Now you're going to bring that up, are you? I can't win. I mean, I'm gonna look at the door, obviously. When I went for help and the crewman forced the door open, this bolt had been firmly closed. It's quite a small bolt and not particularly sturdy, and it just slides across to secure the door shut. But still, with the door bolted, there would be no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. It's no wonder everyone suspects me. Stop staring at me like that! When she glares at me like that, I feel tense all up and down my spine. I remember reading once in a detective novel. The culprit used a needle and thread to draw a bolt across from the outside in the room in a situation like this. Yes, that's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself. But the door of this cabin and its frame are made of metal, and they seal together perfectly. There would be no possibility of using that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid. Mr. Ryunosuke. When she glares at me like that, I feel pins and needles all up and down my spine. All up and down my spine. Alright. I need to learn how to do his voice properly. Alright, let's look at the body. Did Kazuma write that before he died? It looks like it's written in ink. He must have knocked the ink pot from the desk when he collapsed on the floor. Then I suppose he wrote this message by dipping his fingers in the spillage. I'm pretty sure Kazuma can't write Russian. Poor Kazuma-sama. No doubt he was in terrible pain. It's almost unbearable to imagine it. I suppose he was trying to leave some kind of clue in those final moments, was he? I'm sorry, partner, but I can't read your writing. I don't think that's Japanese, Naruhodo-san. What? Then what language is it? It pains me to admit it, but I don't know. It's not like someone literally said it out loud in front of me. It's not a foreign script I'm familiar with. What does it mean, I wonder? What's this? What do you think this is? It looks like a broken piece of glassware. Whatever this thing was, it appears to have broken clean in two. The glass is such a beautiful color. It looks like a cute little Netsuke fastener for a kimono outfit. I'm not sure that sounds like Kazuma. He wouldn't have secretly carried a cute little trinket like this around with him, would he? And the mark beside it. What is it, I wonder? It has a sort of brick-like hue to it. Yes, you're right. It is the color of the bricks. It is the color of bricks, isn't it? Even though I don't see anything the same color anywhere else in this cabin. There's the ink. It's a very large traveling case, isn't it? Oh, it's the traveling case. Oops. Yes, it carries a lot of memories for me. Memories? What do you mean? Well, that's actually how I stowed away on this vessel. I was brought on board inside that case. Ah, yes, I see it says "this way up" in Japanese. Which in hindsight I should have realized the foreign crewmen wouldn't be able to read. I was turned over and over and over, and then I was tossed on the floor in here. Oh dear, being a stowaway isn't as romantic as it sounds. Well, it was less painful than a Susato takedown. This is where dear Kazuma-sama would have sat whenever he was writing. London Diary. Poor Kazuma. He didn't even make it to his destination. It looks as though the last entry isn't complete. Which means, what? He was in the middle of writing it when the incident happened? Let's see what it says. It could be a valuable clue. Hiya! That's out of the question. What? Kazuma-sama may have departed this world, but you must not read his private thoughts. But what if it's something important? Something relevant to the case? You really think I'm that stupid? Actually, yes, I do think you're... Well, no, you know what? I'm not even going to finish that sentence. Alright, I won't read it. Poor Kazuma-sama. I don't like prying into people's personal matters either. But in this case, isn't the need for clues more important? Okay, so I can't... Well, that's a mess. The books have fallen over on the shelf. Look. They've all toppled the same way. And what's this? A statue of some god of the sea? Although he's fallen over as well. Yes, it's almost as if the whole shelf has been ransacked and everything mown down at once. I wonder if... perhaps it was Kazuma-sama doing his morning sword training, do you think? I seriously doubt that. Sorry. Then perhaps it was you, Naruhodo-san, in a fit of rage. I wouldn't have bothered leaving the wardrobe just to mess up a few books and a statue. Could the way these things have been thrown about have anything to do with the case, I wonder? Well, I'll just set everything straight again. I don't like to see a mess. That looks weird. That looks weird. That looks weird. I hate it. These are the rules of passage for travel aboard this SS Buria. It's essentially a list of requests from the captain to all passengers on the board. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Both of which were broken. What? Why are you staring at me like that? Oh, sorry. I was just thinking. Are you more of a dangerous object or a pet? I can't decide. Well, one thing's for sure. Either way, I wasn't supposed to be in here. a look at this cabin. It's some 2 weeks since we set sail from Japan. Have you really been living in that wardrobe the entire time now, Naruto-san? I think living isn't quite the right description. Oh, no, I suppose not. Although it must have been rather exciting making this voyage in your own secret hideout. The trouble was, I never knew when a member of the crew might come in. So yes, I did basically have to live in that wardrobe. And last night was no exception. But because of that, you had no idea what was happening out here in the cabin. No, sadly not. Man, poor me. What's this? This is... yes, it's a bell cord contraption, I think. What do you mean, contraption? I read about it in a book I was studying that talked about life in Great Britain. Oh no. Not one of you. You finally come. You must die. I will not tolerate bots in my chat. Watch, that was like the one human one that actually decided to be a jokester. If that's the case, I feel bad for what I did now. I hope they weren't a person. Either way, I won't tolerate bots like that in my chat, so I might have to change the rules a little bit. Can I do it from here, I wonder? I could. Alright, I'm gonna change the rules real quick. Alright. Now, how do I get back to the chat? Here we go. Large households often have bell cords like this, which you could pull to ring a bell to summon servants. Really? That sounds almost magical. What, Susato? Are we really gonna have another awkward silent moment like the courtroom? Shall we give it a little try? Yes! In the interests of cultural research, obviously. No one's coming. I suppose nobody comes for the lowly Japanese people. No, I'm sure that it's just that everyone is busy, that's all. So I think that's all I can investigate over here. Right? Oh, yep. I think that's some kind of opening for a ventilator. A hole through which fresh air can circulate into the cabin. Isn't that a little odd? What do you mean? Well, this ventilator, if that's what it is, looks like it must connect to the next door cabin. Yes, it would appear to. You're right. But if its purpose is to allow fresh air into the room, surely it should be connected to the outside. That's true. Perhaps it's so that rain and spray don't find their way in when the seas are rough. Or something like that? I suppose so. Maybe that's it. Who's that? He wasn't there a minute ago. What the hell you doing there, Herlock? As far as I can tell, it looks like he might be European. Oh, how did he... You've noticed the man too, have you? I've no idea who he is or how he got in here, but he looks suspicious and tall, suspiciously tall. Naruhodo-san, Naruhodo-san, don't tell me. Do you really not know who that is? Well, no, I don't have any foreign friends or acquaintances at all. He doesn't look like a member of the crew. There's something very unusual about him. And is he investigating Kazuma's desk, or is he just playing on it? I can't tell. Well, in that case, we simply must talk with him. Am I just imagining it, or does Susato-san look almost uncontrollably excited? By the way, I expect that you've noticed already, but just in case, if you press space on people when they're in the crosshairs, you can converse with them. Alright then, I'll get that suspiciously tall gentleman in my sights. I'll get that suspiciously tall gentleman in my sights and see what he has to say for himself. Oh, please do. Excuse me? Excuse me, do you have a moment? Shh! This is a critical point in my investigation. Maybe I should leave him alone. Maybe I should leave him alone. He seems a little unfriendly. Yes, perhaps that would be for the best. Greetings! I hope I haven't kept you long. Ah! What exactly were you doing on Kazuma's desk just now? Ah, I see. Fascinating. Sorry? What do you see? It feels like he's looking right through me. Oh yes, everything is clear now. The train of reasoning has run its course. My deductions have crystallized. You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive. Just recently returned, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry? What? And now, whilst adventuring toward foreign climes, you find yourself in a most troubling predicament. Oh, well, that's true at least. But how? How the deuce did I know that? How the deuce did I know that, perhaps? It was really a most elementary deduction, hardly worth explaining. Have you perhaps managed to deduce anything else? But of course, a great many things. There is no mystery, my dear madam. For example, you have fled your native land of Russia, being as you are a merciless revolutionary. You leave 16 victims of assassination in your wake, and now travel to England to blow up the Crystal Tower. And when the beribboned occupant of this very cabin discovered your identity, you ended his life too. Yes, I believe that summarizes the facts beautifully. No need to hide the truth now. Nothing deceives these eyes. Well, I hate to break it to you, sir, but, just to be clear, you're talking about me, are you? Certainly I am. Do you see another in this cabin who fits the bill? A Russian assassin with 16 victims to his name? Clearly not me. I love his pose. He is quirky. I like him. I don't even see one person who fits the bill. So it's true. It was you who did this to Kazuma-sama. What? And you're plotting a revolution too. You're really gonna believe every single word that this man says? His name isn't even Sherlock Holmes. It's a shameful behavior, Naruhodo-san. Absolutely wicked. No, listen, there's no way I... Yeah! Ow! Now explain yourself. Tell me everything. This is ridiculous. How could you do it? For pity's sake, open your eyes. I'm not a Russian revolutionary, obviously. Oh, forgive me. And as for you, what kind of deduction was that? You were just saying the first thing that came into your head. Ah, but was I not right? Whilst venturing toward foreign climes, you do find yourself in a most troubling predicament, do you not? Well, yes, maybe. Ha! There you have it, you see? What do you make of that, Well, to be honest, this ship is en route to England, and I'm in handcuffs at the scene of a murder. So, I'm not really sure you could call it deduction. It's more plain observation. Indeed, and observation, my dear boy, is the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles, you see. I announce my findings with a brassy certitude. And more often than not, I'm right. I don't think you introduced yourself. Ah, my apologies. How remiss of me. I am none other than the greatest detective of the century, known to men and women the world over. The inimitable Sherlock Holmes. So, it's really you? The actual Sherlock Holmes? The very same. The inimitable actual Sherlock Holmes. Do you know this man, sister-san? The most famous detective in the world? Naruhodo-san, of course I do. There's nobody who hasn't heard of him. What planet have I been living on, then? We must ask him what he's deduced. He will have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure. Really? Why do I feel uneasy about this? Great detective. So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? Indeed, I am none other than the one and only Sherlock Holmes. Oh, I see. You're German? Airlock, was it? No, I have no air. I mean, I have hair. Please, call me Holmes. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication. Oh yes, Rant's magazine, full of wonderful short stories and interest articles from Great Britain. Something tells me that he's not an actual detective then. I never miss an issue. I have it sent from England especially. Ah, yes, here it is. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. So, you're the protagonist in a series of short stories then? Indeed I am. And you've read so many of your own stories, you've started to think you really are a detective. Make no mistake, I'm not the poor, deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backward. Backward? My trusty biographer records my greatest detective achievements and chronicles them in the magazine. You have a biographer, do you? Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London. Dr. Wilson? I must say, thanks to that publication, I've been fantastically busy of late. Oh no. Hey guys? Hey guys, do you think the doctor from the prologue was his uh-oh. Maybe let's not tell him yet. Actually, no, I think I think I should tell him at first, because I would have to be like, hey man, your doctor's not around anymore. Why, this very moment, I am returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown. Really? I can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not. Deduction, you see, is to me a science, logical reasoning in its purest form. A science? Really? The astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in his subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of a muscle, a slight inclination of the posture. The minute he said posture, I strained my back. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, he said that, and I was just like, I should sit up. Fingernails, arm sleeves, furrows in the skin. All these things are data. Right. And the trained logician... Oops. A minute, I need to get my mic up to my mouth. And the trained logician makes deductions from this data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth! As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago. How can he look me in the eye and claim that? So you see, I have a turn both for observation and for deduction. And fame! That is what makes me the one and only, Herlock Sholmes. Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have I managed to deduce anything? My dear fellow, who do you suppose discovered the culprit in his most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Ah, I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him. When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all of the crew members to force the cabin door open. And I concealed myself among their number, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective Herlock Sholmes was on board. And the handcuffs seem to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah! The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, two facts were immediately apparent to me. Oh, really? Two facts, you say? Mr. Sholmes, tell us, please. What two facts were apparent to you when you came into this cabin this morning? Ah, yes, but first, let us be precise. The two facts in question were immediately apparent to me. Yes, I understand, but what were they? Allow me to elucidate. The two facts that I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number one, the cabin was locked from within, rendering escape from the culprit out of the question. Number two, the victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. Oh no, buddy, that's incorrect. Hold on, Mr. Sholmes, what made you think the victim was Russian? Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. That is the Russian word for wardrobe. Do you really think Kazuma-sama could have left a dying message in Russian? In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. For this young man, Russian. Kazuma was Russian, was he? Initially, I considered Garderobe may be the name of the killer. A certain Robert Gard, perhaps. But in the interests of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe there at least. Where you were found, Mr. Naruhodo, sleeping sound... where you were found, Mr. Naruhodo, sleeping soundly. Quite so. I found you, the renowned Russian revolutionary killer. Why is it that I'm Russian too? I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. No, it isn't. It's not, actually. You're wrong. Our school uniforms are the traditional dress of the Russian people? I had no idea. And I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong. I took a photograph of the victim in the message that I might analyze it for possible hidden details. Oh, that looks sad. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered, before the body was removed. Yes, Kazuma had already been taken away when I woke up. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes, thank you. The photograph of the crime scene has been entered into the court record. Can I ask you something, Mr. Sholmes? What's pray? You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all of that? Ah, yes, the train of reasoning that led me to the truth. Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? Certainly, if it interests you. How many times I'm not Russian and I don't speak Russian? Can we talk about your deduction before? The things you concluded about me, I mean. Ah, the now famously accurate, troubling predicament you find yourself in? Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 part? Ah, yes, the more sordid details. It was a fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline reads, Revolutionary Violin Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered. Since when was Kazuma a Russian? It sounds like Mr. Sholmes has concluded he was Russian because of what Kazuma-sama wrote on the floor. It was a simple act of reasoning to realize the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary. One who would kill the very man who helped him to escape after his true identity was discovered. I cut some ice in my water. Interesting. Yes, you, Violin Bolshevik. No, how could it be me? I don't look anything like this man, just look at his face! Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary after all. Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize your appearance as well. Oh, please. And, I might add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list, need I say more? Well, that's because I'm a stowaway. What about the other details? The 16 victims of assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower. Ah, yes. The journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all those particulars in the article. The deeds the man has perpetrated thus far and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about this revolutionary Bolshevik was included. There can be no mistake. Do revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters, I wonder? And what about the part where you said I was just returning from Afghanistan? Also quite clearly stated in the article. I think I started slipping Susto's voice, sorry. Bolshevik is recently returned after a period of subversive activities in a war-torn region of Afghanistan. Where even is it anyway? This Afghanistan place. Here, take the paper for yourself. As a little memento of this great deduction. Oh, thank you. I've absorbed all that is of interest to me within its pages, but I see no rubbish bin nearby. And you may find the article on the back of the page of interest as well. On the back. Cast your eyes over it sometime if the interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret. It's all written in Russian. I couldn't hope to read it. But I suppose it wouldn't hurt just to glance at the article. Maybe there might be a picture or two. Okay. Oh, hello. This is interesting. Have you found something relevant, Naruhodo-san? Well, no, I mean, it looks like it might be interesting. I can't read a single word, I'm afraid. No, nor can I. But look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a beautiful young Russian princess, do you think? She is very pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles on this like this, do you? I don't know. I can't make any sense of it. Ah, I'm glad you've noticed this article. Ah! Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents. Oh, thank you. It pops up everywhere, this Mr. Sholmes. It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovik Ballet disappears from Shanghai. During a performance in Shanghai, the famous dancer was reported missing. She is, of course, the talented young Nikolina Pavlova. Why are Russian names so hard to remember? It would appear the woman was in costume when she was found to be missing from her dressing room, wearing the diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles. This is set in, like, Meiji period, right? That's like close to $1 million in rubles. How much is 20,000 rubles? I have no idea, but I'm quite sure it must be an unbelievable sum of money. Susato-san's eyes are shining like diamonds themselves. The tiara is the property of the Novovik Ballet. It would seem the director is beside herself with worry. Yes, I'm not surprised. The company is most anxious to recover both Miss Pavlova and the valuable tiara. They've requested international assistance at all ports with sailings to Great Britain. Could this be another case of a Russian fleeing his or her country? It does seem to be the Russian thing to do. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruhodo. An article about ballerina. Interesting. Okay, so we have both sides of the paper now. Wait, wouldn't his finger be covered in ink? Or were you just investigating? Before we started talking, you were examining Kazuma's desk, weren't you? Kazuma? Ah, yes, the victim. Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all? Observe for a moment the desktop of the victim. We see that the victim was engaged in penning some text. London diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. Ah, but I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people. Tragic! And something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading. You mean you've read it already? It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese. Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a Susato takedown is. Okay, you'll do it to me, but not to the man you like seeing, huh? Okay, I see where your favoritism is, Susato. Susato-tan, aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns? I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san. What on earth do you mean? Life is so unfair! Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely this diary belonging to the victim, it would appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author were cut short. Tell me, what is the nature of the writing? Pray be precise about to the details. Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese. A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara, Banzai, Mikudo. Nado, nado. I trust you're suitably impressed. But this diary is littered with complicated-looking characters, of which I can read precisely none. So what was that showing off about before then? If you would be so kind as to show me, I would be happy to read it to you, Mr. Sholmes. I'm much obliged, my dear madam. The final entry here in Kazuma-sama's diary consists of just 2 short sentences. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I could hear a faint whistling sound. A whistling sound? These are very deep waters. Pray, go on. The second sentence reads, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? What on earth does that mean? I have no idea. I've never heard that expression before. The ventilator grill, you say? The man was presumably referring to the lattice there on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin. Yes, the adjoining cabin. He was poisoned by a snake. The end. So, I believe I've given you enough to consider for the time being, at least. Do you have somewhere to go? As it happens, the victim's writings in his diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe, and if I am still too long, the seasickness takes hold. Oh, I suppose. You're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to? Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exaltation. So yes, I intend to investigate, hence the truth will become clear soon enough. Do you think perhaps that we could go with you? No, that would be somewhat complicated. But why? A simple glance at your wrists should reveal the answer. Oh, these. After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter. No. There's no point trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place. Whatever do you mean? I have no recollection of naming you as the culprit at any point. What the hell do you mean? You must be joking! You just said it only a moment ago! Dear me, you are clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing. Well, actually, Mr. Sholmes, I did hear you say that, too. You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know. Not really. So what, were you looking at my knees before? So what, were you looking at my knees before? Some great detective you are. Well, anyway, that was then, and this is now. What do you mean? What I mean, sir, is this. If you are the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate. Now he's just being plain rude. And off he goes, having just laughed in my face. His sense of humor is as twisted as his name. Naruhodo-san, what are you just standing there for? You must go and investigate the cabin next door as well. Aren't you forgetting something? What about these? There's no way I can... Hi-ya! After Kazuma-sama spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue, you're willing to give up? You're just going to roll over and accept your fate? Ugh, as if you gave me any choice in the rolling over part. I think we still have some investigation to finish off in here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we can in this cabin while we wait for a chance to slip next door. Good idea. This situation doesn't look good for me. But there are still things I can do to help myself. And I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this. And bring the real culprit to justice. Is something wrong, Naruhodo-san? Oh, no, it's just that crewman standing by the door. I can't help feeling like I've seen him somewhere before. Nasunohaga? Oh, yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir. Yes? What can I do for you? Uh-huh. I recognize that face, but it can't be. Oh, that's his way of showing you that it's him. It is! I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hasanaga. Hello again. What are you doing here? I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you, my heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and aboard this ship. Again? You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask. I never expected to see this man on board. But perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation. Help me! So, what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I cannot tell you that. I'm so sorry. Can't tell you that. This is all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as Asogi-san's bodyguard. It was Minister of Justice Jikoku? Who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asogi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated. Assassinated? How could that even be possible? I've been a possibility. I'm not sure. These are complicated times between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jigoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama was assassinated? Obviously, we couldn't give Asogi-san a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. I see. And I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board, from morning until night, every day. But I never imagined it would happen here, inside his own cabin, not here on the first-class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment, and Asogi-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize. Inspector. So if there's anything at all I can do to help now, just say the word. You can get these things off my wrist. We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer. Of course not! We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes. Yes, so we need to be allowed out of this cabin. I'm sorry. What? You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you moved to even touch the handle of the cabin door, the stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now, they think I'm a murderer as well. Would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? I'm going to need something persuasive. What do you mean? If I had a solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I'd laid my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how... There may be a way. What? Really? Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruhodo-san. By presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. Evidence? It's just the same as when you are in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select the present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Hosonaga could use. So, evidence that would give us a viable reason to investigate the next door cabin, is it? Alright, yes, I think I might know what we can use. Let's see if I can present the detective with the evidence he needs to persuade the captain. I'm gonna give you his diary. What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're still trying to figure out what he meant by that, but what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. That ventilator clearly joins to the next door cabin. That's right, so if we could investigate there, we might be able to work out what that speckled band was. Alright then. I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You're willing to do that? Yes. As long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area, I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But what about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders? I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asogi-san safe. That is the least I can do. Thank you. Let's seize the moment then, Naruhodo-san. Just select move, and we can leave this cabin at last. Move. Alright, let's see what we can find out. But first... excuse me? What? What? I was wondering if I could ask you a favor. Would you mind if I investigated a little outside? Absolutely fucking not. Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes, but it's not true, I see. Sorry? The criminal asking prison guard to help him escape? Very funny. We're in the middle of the sea. There's no chance of me escaping. Niet! You'll stay in this cabin until next port. Then it is up to Hong Kong police to decide what they do with you. You'll stay. Alright. There's no point trying to appeal to this man's better nature, that's for sure. Okay, move. And immediately after he says that... immediately after he says this, I'm like, see ya! 9th of January, 7:48 a.m., SS Burian, first class cabin passageway. Whew, I'm finally out of that cabin. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it would be. And this is the most luxurious accommodation. Yes, indeed. Kazuma-sama was being sent on his study tour by the government. That's why he was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, this is about twice as large as my accommodation in steerage. Really? That must be awful. Oh, look over there! There's another crewman keeping watch. And he looks enormous, even if he was sitting down. The door next to him leads to the second-class accommodation. I suppose he's making sure that no one comes in here who shouldn't. I suppose. Like people in handcuffs. Naruhodo-san, You look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought you'd be used to the ship by now. You've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Well, yes, I know, but the thing is, I was inside Kazuma's trunk when I first came aboard. And ever since then, I've been shut up inside that little wardrobe. It must have been a very trying time for you. Please don't give me that pitying look. That's a huge book on top of the table there, and there's a pen next to it. Yes, that looks like the ship's log. Shall we have a little look through it? Wow, you're just gonna let this happen, huh? Okay. The writing is so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. You wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. I'm pretty sure it wasn't the sailor. And nothing. No reaction at all. I thought he might appreciate the compliment. Who is this? Oh. I'm not sure that rough and ready is much of a compliment, Naruhodo-san, even to a sailor. Anyway, last night's log is mostly blank. Presumably that means there was nothing to report. Well, that's weird. This looks like a plan of the SS Bureau. It shows each deck, look. The Bureau is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skinned hull. What a marvel of engineering. Well, it's been playing on my mind for a while now, actually, but how is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean? Oh, that's really quite simple, Naruhodo-san. It is? Well, consider the Japanese archipelago. The islands of Japan? Yes, they're not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth, many, many times larger than this ship. And they don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them. Well, I suppose so. What do you think this is? It's a very pleasing shape, isn't it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. It says, press only in times of emergency. It looks as though it sets alarm bells ringing all over the ship, and brings the vessel to a complete stop. Oh, this I have to see. What are you doing, Naruhodo-san? You mustn't touch it. But this is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs! You know full well that's not what the alarm is for. If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. I wish everything would just stop. The ship included. If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else. Ah, a trap for catching mice. Yes, we have plenty of those back home in Japan. Although they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Let me see. Yes, I think that's what it is called, cheese. I think that is what is called cheese. It's made from the milk of cows. Cheese? I wonder what that tastes like. You can't eat it, Naruhodo-san. The trap will snap shut on your fingers. Really? But... I suppose you're right. You weren't actually going to try it, were you? All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Kazuma's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe. Poor you. I'll find a little snack for you later. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. Not so fucking fast. Oh. Where do you think you're going? Excuse me, we, need to get inside this cabin here. The sailor's eyes speak volumes. They're clearly saying keep out. That's what I wrote on the sign we put over in the wardrobe doors. Although this man's version is definitely more effective. It doesn't look like he's going to let us pass. That's a problem. Okay. Let's talk to him then. Excuse me, but could I ask you something?
You little stowaway murderer!
That wasn't a good start, was it? Alright, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask something of you?
You little third-class ladies' maid.
Oh. We seem to have caught the sailor on a bad day, Susato-san.
I am not a sailor. My mother gave me name. I am senior crewman, Beef Stroganoff.
Oof. The best thing is just to avoid eye contact, I think. Mr. Stroganoff, about the first class cabin area.
We are in finest part of Bureau steamship. For very important persons.
What sort of very important persons?
Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret. Many important persons. That is why I am always guarding this place.
Gosh, that's amazing.
But somehow I let stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you in ocean. But Stroganoff is not animal.
Thank you? If I may, I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Osogi's currently occupied?
Can't tell you.
Susato-san, did you understand that? It sounded like da. I think it's probably Russian for yes or no. It's yes. Genius.
It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation.
Well, it sounds like there is somebody in the next door cabin, at least. Yes. It's tantalizing. Are you on watch here all the time, Seaman Stroganoff?
Duh. All time. So criminals like you cannot come in or get out.
I wonder, could you tell us anything about last night at all?
It is sad about student boy.
Were you on watch last night as well?
Of course.
And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual?
Niet!
Susato-san, did you understand that? It was clearly a no.
I saw nothing unusual. Nothing at all.
And you didn't hear anything, any strange noises, or sense anything was wrong in some way?
I said no!
Sorry! I'm not so sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there. Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next to Mr. Osogi's?
No. His name is Mr. Grimsby Roylott. He is very important Western gentleman.
A Western gentleman?
Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with murder of student boy.
How can you be so sure about that?
Mr. Roylott is authentic Western gentleman. Such a man would have no interest in lowly student from insignificant Far East islands.
That was harsh. Could you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard?
That is not your business.
Come to think of it, even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now, I've been in Cosmo's cabin the entire time. I've never once heard anything from the next door cabin, or even felt like there was anyone there. Well, presumably, since this gentleman is occupying one of the first-class cabins, he must be rather important. Is that right?
That is not your business. This is enough. I cannot say more now.
Oh,
It's time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin.
Yes, alright.
Bulkhead to second-class area is staying locked at all times. You escape when the lobster whistles on the top of the mountain. Or as English say, when the pigs fly.
Yes, I understand. Good. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely.
Sucker.
This is it. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote about that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask.
There's no one home!
No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one in there to help with our inquiries. How annoying. Ah! What was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. It must have been a woman. Oh, it was... Oops. Stand aside. Stand aside! I'm about to break the door down! Mr. Sholmes! I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I revel in kicking doors off their hinges. For I am Kurlaman Silverkin! Greatest detective in all the 9 realms! Please, wait, Mr. Sholmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't? Then how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What, pray, can I kick? I think we should go in. There's no time to think about the stress relief. 9th of January, SS Buria, first class cabin, number 2.
Who are you?
A Western gentleman? This looks like This looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream.
A woman? Don't be absurd. As you can see, there is nobody but me in this cabin.
True, this old man does appear to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed?
Get out! All of you! Now!
Please excuse the intrusion, but... you're Mr. Grimsby Roylett, I believe.
Yes, that's me. And you are?
I am the one and only, the actual Herlock Sholmes. You've heard of me, no doubt.
No.
I am a great detective among great detectives, one who adorns the covers of popular magazines, no less. So I assure you, you may trust me completely. This man uses that magazine like a business card.
A detective? I do not trust detectives, mainly because they could reveal my true identity because I have big nose and beard and mustache like man missing on the newspaper. You could reveal my identity. Maybe I should use these scissors to stab you in the heart.
We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So might I be so bold as to ask you to open that small traveling case?
Don't be stupid. How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that?
Well, it's quite fashionable these days, is it not? Traveling inside one's trunk. Don't look at me. Oh my, did you see that, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, the case just shook.
Leave. Now. Otherwise I call the steward.
So this is Kazuma's neighbor, Mr. Grimsby Roylett. There's no doubt about it. This strange Russian man is hiding something. I couldn't agree more. Let's see if we can find some more clues before that burly sailor returns. Okay.
What do you think you're doing? Ah! This is my cabin! Get out!
Could I just have a quick look inside your traveling case, perhaps?
No!
Ah, what a pity. I think we're out of luck.
I think you're right.
It doesn't appear to be anything more we can do.
I agree, but there may be someone else who can help. Perhaps that great detective could get somewhere with Mr. Roylott. Oh, that's the door we came through. Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You need only address me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing? What were you doing in there? Why, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed. I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting. Waiting for the inevitable time that you would need to call my great powers of detection into service.
Oh! And it would seem that the hour is upon us now. The time has come.
Am I mistaken?
Well, no actually. You're spot on, for once.
Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylott, is clearly trying to hide something. And do you know what is the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Why, the truth, of course. Though it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it?
Oh, yes, please!
He's gonna die. Well then, what are you about to see? What you are about to see may well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? What? From time to time, it occurs to me. Is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness, or Russian on account of his dubiousness? I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you, or anyone.
That's right. And Mr. Sholmes, I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment.
Shh! I must have complete silence. What are you doing? Why are you peering at my face like that? Ah, just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. What do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you are about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? Huh! And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn, you are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize that you have been discovered. Is it not? Ah!
Oh, Naruhodo-san! I'd never imagined I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes.
That was a great deduction?
Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, he can deduce all there is to know about a person.
Oh, shit! What?
What? What ineffable twaddle! Oh, yes. I've read about it countless times in the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. And now I've experienced the astonishing impact of his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true.
I can hardly believe it, but all the color is drained from Mr. Roylott's face. It looks like somehow both Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. How could you?
How could I possibly know such things? You wish to say? Very well then. I shall elucidate. I shall explain how that it was that I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So I cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning. Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. The great deduction. The game is afoot. Is this gonna be fun? Topic 1. Old man's identity. So, the dubious-looking Russian Mr. Roylett, obviously what catches an eye in the first place, is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Where is this light coming from? How did you do this? Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. Now, moving on. What is happening? The question begged is this. Why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Roylett? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Oh no! Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper in particular, the fascinating front-page article, which it would appear you have read also, Mr. Roylett. Shit! I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads, Revolutionary Violent Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Having noted the article yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, Violent Bolshevik. Now that I've heard of you myself, you understand. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. Conclusion: a revolutionary on the run. Topic 2. Wrongdoing. Now, as for my second conclusion, you are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime, over there. Oh yes, Mr. Roylett. Taken unawareness, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. And I assure you, the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, the traveling case. It is time, I think, that the case be opened and its contents laid bare. No, I refuse! What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation, a young lady, perhaps, one slight enough to fit therein. Don't be absurd! And what, pray, would the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? Would be the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your traveling case can equally be found in the pages of this newspaper. For there is another most stimulating article. If we turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page, renowned prima ballerina of the Novovik Ballet disappears from Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to but one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction, and
According to the article, the young lady's name is Nikolina Pavlova. I don't think that one's right.
I think there's a snake in his traveling case.
Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes's great deduction of the Russian enigma, Elemensky. Suzuki-san, that wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories are full of Mr. Sholmes' brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes. Could you come over here a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions. Would you mind? Not at all. Go on. Well, to start with, there's the newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but these two men look nothing like each other. Ah, yes, I recall our discussion earlier. And at the time, I believe I told you that the man is a revolutionary. We'll be able to well able to revolutionize his own appearance. In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Roylott does look more like this man than you do. That's not the point. And another thing. The part about him abducting the ballerina, indeed a truly startling revelation. At first glance, the case would appear too small to accommodate a young woman. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly. You'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old child into that case, even if you pushed really hard. I don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she? You mean you don't know? No, the young lady is 15. No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she's 15, then 10 years worth of her would be poking out of the case. Some years ago, I read something pertinent, I believe. A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain lithiness in their bodies. Vinegar? For such a sour bunch, it would surely be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of that small case. Oh dear. You might be thinking of contortionists in the circus, Mr. Sholmes. Ugh, this whole thing is turning into a circus. Mr. Naruhodo, something's occurred to me about Mr. Sholmes' deductions just now. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of a matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention and logic that seem a little off.
Your idea of a little maybe a little off itself, Mr. Suto. Oh, that's why the exclamation points and question marks appear. Okay. Alright then. I get it. So I was wondering if we might perhaps tactfully switch them for alternatives. What do you think? Switch some key words in his deductions. Yes, but very tactfully. I feel sure if we could do that, we'd unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction. Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind. This man has a lot of work. At times, I wonder how anyone puts up with me. It's not that fun. And you, my good fellow. Sorry? Take a moment to look at your wrists. My wrists? Ah! Where are your handcuffs? Huh? How did... I felt that they may hinder your ability to follow me on our dance of deduction. I don't believe it! Mr. Sholmes, you're a marvel! And don't worry, I shall restore the shackles to your wrists when we are finished. I'm not worried. In fact, I'd rather stay like this. So, let us begin. Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular! Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Old man's identity. is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. So that's correct. I'm gonna go off the assumption that exclamation points are correct. What should you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. That's incorrect. I'm not sure. Would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard? I doubt that's something I'll ever have to worry about. It doesn't quite sit right with me, though. It doesn't seem to be sitting right with Mr. Roylet either. Which means I suppose that the deduction is wrong. Naruhodo-san, and see if it helps the matter. Alright, but how? I think we should start by taking a long, hard look at Mr. Roylet. I wonder if it's really his beard he intended to use those shears on. Exactly. If we do manage to find something that seems to fit the sense of Mr. Sholmes' deduction better, then what? Then I'll leave the rest in your capable hands, Mr. Naruhodo-san. Why am I the one to do something about this? Well, anyway, let's see if there's anything we could even use to switch around in the last sentence. What exactly was Mr. Roylet going to use those enormous shears for? Not the copious beard. The thick hat? It's a very thick hat, isn't it? Ah, that's the secret, you see, Mr. Naruhodo-san. Don't you know? Secret? What? Well, before we left Japan, I took some time to study various foreign countries. Russia is a land of unimaginable cold, and a thick hat is the secret to keeping warm. Without one, I read that your brain would freeze. That was just one of many fascinating snippets of information in Oh Mother, Not Russia. I think maybe you picked the wrong book there. Oh. What's this? It looks like a cascade of stunning golden locks. No, the color is not the point. The point is, what's that? What is it? What's it doing on the back of Mr. Roylet's head? And how's it growing out from underneath his thick black hair? Because it's a wig. Well, yes, that's true. So stunningly beautiful and stunningly surprising. Something's definitely not right here.
Yes!
You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the golden locks you sport. Indeed, you have identified the precise detail I was intending to expose. Such lush golden hair certainly does not befit an old man. Oh no! You are not a man at all, you're a woman. And judging from the length and sheen of your hair, one still very much in her youth. Oh no! Oh no! If only I had managed to cut off my hair, no one would have suspected. The question then begged is this: why would you desire to rid yourself of these magnificent locks? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is on the article about the revolutionary. Nope. Well, that was a shock. I had no idea the old man was really a young woman in disguise, did you? You haven't been paying attention at all, have you? What? Why are you staring at me like that? Yes, it was a surprise. Naruhodo-san, you're enjoying this, aren't you? Sorry? You look like you're in your element as you dance around the room deducing the facts with Mr. Sholmes. I'm just doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything. This is strictly business, not strictly Yes, I understand. Say no more. Well, anyway, let's focus on this next part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction, shall we? The evidence that he's picked up doesn't fit the facts at all now. No, that's true, given that Mr. Roylet is actually a woman. Exactly. He, or rather she, can't possibly be this merciless revolutionary. I suppose it's because the deduction as a whole has taken a different direction now. Yes. Let's switch the evidence for something else. Something that fits the facts as we now understand them. For some reason, this woman needed to try to hide her true identity. I feel as though I've either read or heard about a young woman in a situation like that recently. Alright, I'll do my best.
Yes!
That one. You're the ballerina. The evidence that reveals your true identity is, of course, the article about the ballerina. That's right. You've hit the nail on the head. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovik Ballet disappears from Shanghai. It would appear we are finally able to address you by your true name. Yes, because your true identity is that of the Novovik Ballet's prima ballerina. Miss Nikolina Pavlova. Ah! I've been stabbed! In the head. Wow, she really is young, huh? Crap. Well, you're right. My real name is Nina. I mean, Nikolina Pavlova. But please, I beg you, don't tell anyone. A ballerina on the run. Solved. But now, the conclusion is wrong here. Now, as for my second conclusion, you are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime, over here. Oh yes, Miss Pavlova. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. Ah! And I assure you, the eye speaks so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies with where the furtive glance falls. Yes, the traveling case. This woman is the ballerina, and she's right in front of our eyes. So clearly she can't be inside the traveling case as well. No, that's right. It seems that she wasn't abducted at all. In which case, what is the crime the young woman is apparently committing? I can see I'm going to have to step in and fix the great detective's mistake again. You seem to look pleased, Naruhodo-san. Do you like the idea of another chance to dance around with Mr. Sholmes? Stop it. Anyway, there must be something else here that shows what this woman is up to. Hey, what did... Wow, look at that dazzling tardy tiara. I've never seen anything like it. Are those real diamonds, do you think? Oh, Naruhodo-san, try it on. What, me? Isn't it usually girls who wear tiaras? Wouldn't you like to try it on? Oh no, I couldn't possibly. It's far too beautiful. Why does this tiara look familiar? I feel like I've seen it somewhere recently.
Yes!
It's that. The proof of your crime is surely this tiara. Ah! I believe this tiara is worn on stage by dancers in the Novovik Ballet, is it not? Indeed, it would appear to be identical to the tiara pictured here in this newspaper article. And if the reporting is to be believed, it's an item worth 20,000 rubles. In summary, the crime you have committed is theft. Oh no! Yes, you left your ballet troupe, unlawfully taking their precious tiara with you. Ah! I have no one, no family, no friends. I am all alone, and I need money. But I did not steal the tiara. It was a present from, how do you say, an Earl of Prussia? It belongs to me. This girl is only 15 years old, and she's run away all by herself. She must have been extremely lonely. I need to get a drink of water. We need a lot of voice acting. Alright, I will tell you everything. There's no point into hiding it now. Come, let us not be hasty.
What? There remains one unsolved mystery about you. Mystery? What do you mean? You have staunchly refused to open this traveling case of yours in our presence. It is reasonable to conclude, therefore, that there exists some reason why you wish it to remain closed. Is that not so, Miss Pavlova? My dear girl, there is no sense in playing games with me. Nothing escapes my attention. Indeed, I have a very good idea of the contents of your case, even before I have ever laid eyes on them. Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the books on the shelf. He's completely changed track with his deduction now. I think Mr. Scholz is adapting his logic to the changing circumstances, don't you? Maybe, but why has he suddenly brought the bookshelf into all this? It's just a wild guess, surely. Oh, do you think so? Well, it doesn't seem likely that the reason why this young woman doesn't have to open her case would have been written in the book that doesn't even belong to her. Yes, that's true, but still, Miss Pavlova certainly did cast her eyes in that direction. I noticed it myself. Then there has to be another reason why she won't open her case. And it must be somewhere in the same area, if that's where her gaze was involuntarily drawn. I agree, that's the only answer. Whatever she has hidden inside that case should be revealed by following her gaze in the direction of the bookcase. Looks like these are all the same books that we have in our cabin. I suppose the steward likes to make sure passengers have plenty to read for the long voyage. And have you noticed other books have fallen over? Just like in Kazuma-sama's back cabin. It's almost like someone has taken a sweep at them. Maybe Miss Pavlova? While she was practicing her ballet? Anyway, the point is, we don't have time to look through all these books at the moment. We couldn't even if we wanted to. They're all in Russian. Well, that's a relief. Let's try our luck elsewhere. These are the rules of passage for travel aboard this SS Bureau. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. That was exactly the same notice in our cabin, too. I wonder what happens if you break the rules. Oh dear! I'm sure the punishment would be severe, Naruhodo-san. You'd probably be left to drift in the freezing cold ocean, or shut inside a tiny wardrobe for days on end. So I've actually been serving time for weeks now, have I? It's this. Yes! She brought a pet on board. Yes, the reason why you refused to open your case is written in the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Inside that case of yours is something forbidden from carriage on this vessel. That is the real reason why you refuse to open it, thus revealing its contents. As we've seen, the trunk wobbles from time to time, but no weapon or other dangerous item would move on its own accord. Which leaves but one possibility, Miss Pavlova. Inside your traveling case is the last item listed as a forbidden in the vessel's rules of passage. A pet! Ah! No. How could this be? Possession of a prohibited animal. It's the speckled band. She let it loose and it came into the thing. I don't think she killed him, though. So clearly, you aren't who you said you were. No, I am not Grimsby Roylet. My real name is Nikolina Pavlova. Everything you said was correct. You absconded during one of your ballet company's performances in order to escape to your homeland.
Later that same night, you stole aboard this vessel. Which couldn't have been easy. The Bureau is a huge steamship with a vast crew. Could she really have snuck on board without being noticed? In order to obscure your true identity, you somewhat recklessly took the guise of an old gentleman, and you intended to sever all links with your past by severing your long hair. Yet to a woman, hair is no trifling matter. My personal recommendation is to leave well alone. So, if it was just you about to cut off your own hair, who was it that let out the scream we heard from outside the cabin? That veritable tinkling of a bell? Why, none other than this young lady, naturally. More like a full set of pipes, if you ask me. I was so scared when I ran away in Shanghai. I was sure they would come looking for me. That's why I decided to, how do you say, disgust myself, so no one would recognize me. As a result, you transformed yourself into that questionable old man I see. I put on the fur hat and fake beard. Then just before you came in here, I saw in the newspaper, right on the page, there was a picture of me. I was so frightened, I couldn't stop from screaming. I knew that if I didn't change my appearance completely, they would find me. So I decided to cut all my hair as fastly as possible. I picked up the scissors in my hand and... At that precise moment, we walked in through the annoyingly unlocked cabin door. Things happen like that sometimes, don't they? Things do indeed happen like that, from time to time. Are those two even talking about the same thing? There's just one more thing I'd like to know. What exactly do you have inside your traveling case? You were right. It is my dear friend inside. My only friend in the whole world. A snake. Please, don't tell anyone. If the captain finds out, if you say to any of the crew. Your secret is safe with us, I assure you. But in return, you must tell us, in as much detail as you can muster, about the events of last night. Yes, alright. I will tell you. Well, Mr. Naruhodo? Wasn't it something, Mr. Sholmes' great deduction? It was certainly something, yes. I'm just not entirely sure what. But at least Miss Pavlova has agreed to tell us what she knows. That's incredible. Indeed, it is incredible! Ah, and one more thing. Oh, yes, what? Look at your wrists. Observe your wrists. Damn it. Ah! Your hands are cuffed again! But... True to my word, I have restored your shackles. When and why? There is still a shadow of guilt cast over you, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry to say, it can't be helped at the moment. Can't it really? Anyway, let's listen to what Miss Pavlova has to say. I can't go on not knowing. I have to find out what the speckled band that Kazuma-sama wrote about in his diary really was. Speckled band? Did you know that someone was killed in the cabin next door to this one last night? One of the crewmen told me this morning when I was eating breakfast. The man who died, he was a friend of mine. Oh. That's why we're trying to find out what happened. Did you notice anything unusual last night? Perhaps you heard a strange noise, for example. Perhaps people talking? Perhaps the ship was absorbed in a wild tempest. Perhaps its steam engine exploded. If its steam engine exploded, nobody would even be here. Perhaps everyone on board would have noticed if that had happened. Miss Pavlova, is there anything you can tell us? I don't know. I'm sorry, but all I could think about last night was what I had done and whether they would find me. I didn't notice anything that was happening around me. Oh, I see. You've run away from your ballet company, have you? The Novovic Ballet?
Yes. I am traveling to Great Britain, and from there, I want to go to America. I will never dance again. I want to forget everything about the ballet. I will start a new life.
You wish to forget? A challenging proposition. When you have that striking tiara as a reminder.
But the tiara is mine. I need it to live.
Uh-huh.
I have no money of my own. The Novovic Ballet gives us only a little food and water, and we must dance all over the world. I had to run away. I had no choice. If I stayed, it would have killed me.
So you ran away to protect yourself?
Yes. And the crew of this ship, they have all been kind to me. They let me come on board and they said I could hide in this cabin.
If that is indeed the truth, Miss Pavlova, it creates a most intriguing conundrum.
Yes, it does.
What do you think about it, Mr. Naruhodo? Me? Oh, well, yes, of course. I think we should hear Miss Pavlova's explanation. To what conundrum, I'm not sure, but... Let's hear about the friend first. So the friend you mentioned is inside your traveling case, is that right?
I don't think animals are allowed on board according to the rules of passage. Oh, please, don't tell any of the crew. If they found my precious...
Then the burly Russians would bestir themselves in unison to throw you in your case overboard, no doubt.
Ah!
So reassuring, Mr. Jones.
But what sort of pet is your friend? A little puppy? It is, isn't it?
No. Maybe an adorable little rabbit? No. Ha! You credit Russia as a land with small rabbits, do you? Oh, don't they have small rabbits there then? You may well ask. I have no idea. Huh. You two are miserable bunglers when it comes to understanding the nature of young ballerina's friends. Isn't it obvious? It must be a chicken.
Really?
Sorry, I had to talk to my friend real quick, I have a friend helping me design most of Black Oak Productions' costumes and characters. He's just showed me Harmony, one of Alistair's daughters, and I'm currently in love with it.
Consider the benefits. A rousing wake-up call. Daily fresh eggs. And when adversity strikes, it could satisfy the needs of sustenance.
So you'd eat your friends. I'll remember that. Well, it would appear this friend's identity is a closely guarded secret not to be revealed. She obviously doesn't quite trust us yet. There's something I should like to show her, I think. Maybe she might be able to shed some light on it. First, let's hear about the conundrum. Ooh. Miss Pavlova, allow me to pose you a riddle.
Okay, what is riddle, Riddler?
According to this newspaper, it was only yesterday that you absconded from the ballet. Now, that being the case, it must have been last night that you boarded this vessel. However, the SS Bureus stopped by no port last night. Ah, that's it, of course! So how is it, pray, that you came to be aboard? Now that I think about it, the crewmen outside the cabin acted very strangely when we mentioned that. It was just after we asked them about when the occupant of this cabin came aboard.
That is none of your business.
Yes, you're right. He did seem to be hiding something.
Oh no.
An angel descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to the stage. Sorry? What was that? It is how the Russian newspapers described one of my performances. And that is how I came here, too. I descended from the heavens, because I am an angel. So you came from a hot air balloon? Considering English isn't your mother tongue, your description is very vivid. Mr. Sholmes once said, I can never resist a touch of the dramatic. It seems Miss Pavlova is the same.
A genius descended from the heavens, bringing grace and beauty to detection. Words once said about myself.
A quote from a wonderfully extravagant advertisement from the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, in fact. Yes, Mr. Shelley. Anyway, it doesn't look like Miss Pavlova is going to tell us what really happened. Okay, so what do I have to give to you? Maybe this. This is the diary of my friend who passed away.
His diary?
Yes, and he wrote in it last night before he died, something a little unusual. It reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. And then a few minutes later, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill.
A speckled band? I don't understand.
It's strange, isn't it? But the ventilator here he mentions joins to this cabin, you see. It's up there on the wall. In other words, this cabin and the victim's cabin are connected together. I've just given up on doing Ryunosuke's actual voice for now. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh!
Miss Pavlova, has something occurred to you? Does the speckled band the victim mentioned mean something to you, or the whistling sound, perhaps?
Oh no.
No. I don't know anything. Oh. Liar. Oh.
Excuse me, Mr. Roylet. Yes, what?
Wow, she's fast.
Captain would like to speak with you. You must come to Captain's quarters at once, please. Also, I'm very surprised I have not considered the fact that, Alright, I will come now. must leave. No.
Oh, no, it's fine. Don't mind this. Yes, please don't worry yourself, Mr. Royland.
Get out! The passenger said out, or do you want me to throw you out?
Ugh, it looks like we'll have to leave investigating this cabin until later. What a pity. And so we lost our chance. Having still not managed to investigate Miss Pavlova's cabin, we were unceremoniously chased out. That is to say, we were quite literally picked up and thrown into the passageway outside. Oh man, this is where it ends? Oh. Okay, I can't do another, like, 4-hour episode of this. I'm going to cut it off here. But that was fun. And we got to meet Herlock Sholmes. So I'm going to call this a success. But I will be trying to stream next week. I just need to figure out what my schedule for next week is. That's all. So, oh, I never considered that. But anyway, I will see you guys next week, depending on how my schedule looks. Because I changed my schedule to work mornings from now on, so if I have to, I will stream and record via when I get home. Depending on the time that I get home. If it's an 8-hour, it's probably not happening. But we shall see. So, farewell, you guys. I shall see you next week. I pray. Well, actually, let me say first, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, it's investigation part 2. We're fine. For now, I guess we'll just see what goes on towards this. Can I save from here? I could. Okay. So, I'll save it here. And then I shall see you guys next week. Bye-bye.